All right, welcome to the Krueg Show, everybody. Late, but what can I say? California traffic getting back from Ninerland today was hellish. Welcome to the Pig in a Pickle Krueg Show, brought to you by Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. We're also brought to you by New York Style Italian Sausage. And as you see at the bottom of the screen there, Marin Auto Glass, marinautoglass.com. We're also sponsored by Mojo Fantasy and Underdog Fantasy. Check that link in the description. Click the link in the description and type in the promo code Krueg, K-R-U-E-G, and they will match you up to your first $100. And everybody who signs up at Mojo by tomorrow automatically is entered into winning the Bosa or Purdy jersey. We're giving away both tomorrow night Thursday night after 49ers Seahawks from Seattle. But welcome to the Pig in a Pickle Krueg Show. And the great Raj from RSF 49ers is in the house. Raj, thanks for being patient, man. The traffic on the 680 getting back to the creek was a bear.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. It's all good. I drive in that traffic. It is the most annoying thing ever living in California. California traffic's bad. Sometimes the traffic's almost as bad as Southern California, but I understand, man. It's all good. I'm glad you made it home safe and sound. That's it.
Yeah, well, and I'm getting ready for Thursday night. It was a wild day down in Santa Clara today. We talked to everybody, Kyle Shanahan, Steve Wilkes, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. I mean, it's like then I got a nice little conversation with Colton McKivitz and Jake Brendel together, and a lot of it's up on the Krueg Show YouTube channel. You guys can check that stuff out. But what do you think Thursday night, Niners-Hawks? It sounds like we're either going to see Aaron Banks at left guard or John Feliciano. And if it's Aaron Banks, then John Feliciano is going to play right guard. The guy who's not going to play right guard is Spencer Burford. So if Banks can't go and Burford can't go, Feliciano probably plays left guard. And it's your guess as good as mine who plays right guard because, Shanahan said, hey, we got guys in the practice squad in the building. We could go Jalen Moore. They just signed Ben Barch. There's just a bunch of options there. None of them are exciting necessarily options or at least prominent names, but they got choices. We'll find out how it shakes out. But what are you expecting to see Thursday night?
I mean, Thursday night's going to be a knockdown, drag-out war. It's Seattle 49ers, no matter the records these two teams play, and it's just a bloodbath. It's two teams that are trying to fight for that number one position in the NFC West. No matter what, Seattle always plays the 49ers tough and vice versa. You just expect a barn burner. That's what it's going to be. It's Pete Carroll knows the Niners. He brings his defense. Now, I know Gino's dealing with an elbow issue. Kenneth Walker's got an oblique, so that could give the edge to the 49ers injury-wise. Now, I know they lost Talanoa Hufanga, but overall, the 49ers, like major skill players on offense, are all healthy. So O-line definitely being banged up is a concern. It's going to really put a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy, but he's got to deliver. It's Thursday night. It's prime time. There's not a lot of time to prepare. This is a huge game, and the 49ers cannot look ahead because after the Seahawks, Larry, they have the Philadelphia Eagles, and then the Seahawks again. This is a tough stretch of games, but I'm expecting a big-time battle between the Seahawks on Thursday.
I mean, what do you make of the way that Purdy's playing right now? I mean, it's just let me play you this. This is pretty interesting. This is from Richard Sherman from earlier today, and it's on Twitter. I'll put this. I'll share the screen right here. Here's Rich.
Year guy, and he's playing.
Here we go. Sherman. This is Sherman talking about Purdy, on the Ringer. Here we go. Let me just make sure I get the right volume. Here we go. Dick Sherman, ladies and gentlemen.
This is still a second-year quarterback. They scrutinize this guy like he's been in the league for a decade. He's a second-year guy, and he's playing outstanding. His touchdown to interception ratio is enormous. If he was a top 5 pick, they'd be talking about him with Patrick Mahomes and as the face of the league in the future. But since he's the last pick, all people can say is that they're waiting for the fall off. And it's been a year and a half of consistency from this young man. Either way, if he somehow takes this San Francisco 49ers team to a Super Bowl and wins it, he's going to take what he deserves because he don't have to ask anymore.
There you go. The Richard Sherman podcast spit that one out, Raj. I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point about Brock Purdy. I mean, everybody knows I'm a major supporter of Brock Purdy. And by the way, everybody hit like, that will help everybody build the stream, and everybody in the chat hit subscribe, and become a subscriber to the Krueg show. But I mean, what do you make of what we've seen of Brock Purdy, not just the last couple of years, but most specifically the last couple games? I mean, he has just been spectacular.
Yeah, that's the thing. Last couple of weeks, it was a lot of before these last 2 weeks where the 49ers got back on a win streak, there was a lot of uncertainty. People are saying, okay, the film's caught up with Brock. He's not the guy. He's Brock Purdy. All the skepticism. Everybody was coming out. Nick Wright was having a field day because Brock was looking bad. But now these last 2 weeks, he's got a perfect passer rating last week. He's got like the best passer rating in a 2-game stretch. All the craziness. Like, he leads the NFL in QBR and passer rating, not just for the last 2 weeks, but the entire season. So Brock has showed that he could bounce back. And Richard Sherman's right. If he was a top 10 pick, oh man, he'd be talked about so highly regard. But when he struggles, it's like, oh, that's why he was the last pick. Oh, see, there has to be a reason why he was Mr. Relevant. But players like Josh Allen, when they struggle, Justin Herbert, there's an excuse. It's a bad day, whatever. They find excuses for these guys. Not saying that they're bad, but they have bad days, and they get a little bit more leeway. Brock Purdy doesn't seem to get that leeway. His leash is very short with the media. But again, the fact that he's able to bounce back these last 2 weeks has shown a lot of character for him. Quarterbacks are going to have bad days, but he's shown that during those bad stretches, he's able to turn it around and become great again. The one thing, and I said this last week, that we still need to see improvement from Brock Purdy is playing from behind. Obviously, that's a different situation. But when he has the lead and his guys are, healthy, and he is cooking. And the biggest thing that I've seen improvement in Brock Purdy, and I think Debo talked about it today, he made a joke about it, but his arm strength is getting stronger. I think you might have asked him, or Cam might have asked him, but Debo said, yeah, he's been lifting a little bit of weights, but the guy's throwing big-time bombs now. And, I love that, Kyle. It's last 2 games, third quarter, he goes for the jugular in that first drive. Kittle and Ayuk, big-time explosive touchdowns, and Brock's getting better at those, so I love it.
What Purdy said today at the podium was that his throwing routine has strengthened his arm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like we're seeing it. I mean, the ball that he threw to Kittle in Jacksonville was a great throw, incredible arm strength throw, really. Way bit more arm strength than most people who said he had no arm strength, would ever believe he had. And then the ball to Ayuk was just an absolute dime, and it was 45 yards down the field, maybe more. That was very impressive. So I don't know. And it's funny, he was asked about the deep ball, and he said, the deep ball, he admitted today that the deep ball attempts that they've taken and the success that they've had the last couple of weeks have opened up things in the intermediate area for him. But I mean, what's amazing, Raj, is number 1 in quarterback rating, number 1 in completion percentage, number 1. We're talking about number 1 in the league. Number 1 in the league. That means in front of Mahomes, in front of all these guys. It's amazing. Number 1 completion percentage, number 1 in touchdown percentage, number 1 in passing success rate, number 1 in yards per attempt, number 1 in adjusted yards per attempt, number 1 in yards per completion, number 1 in net yards per attempt, number 1 in adjusted net yards per passing attempt, number 1 in passer rating under pressure, number 1 in completion percentage under pressure, number 1 in yards per attempt under pressure. And he's doing all this playing behind a 49er offensive line that ranks like 28th in pass block win rate. So it's not like, he's got Shanahan, granted. He's got Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, weapons, CMC. He's got weapons, granted. He's not doing this all by himself. It's not like he's out there with, little sisters of the poor and he's getting it done. He's got a great offensive-minded coach, and he's got great weapons. But so what? I mean, the guy's number 1 in the league in like 15 different categories. And he's doing it behind a line that we don't know who's going to start at left guard. We don't know who's going to start at right guard. You know, Colton McKivitz, people are not too hot on at right tackle. So, I mean, it's like, you know, what would this guy do if you put a big time star driven offensive line in front of him? I mean, it's just, it boggles the mind that he's doing as well as he is.
Yeah, no, you put him behind the Eagles O-line, and can you imagine if he's doing this with the 49ers O-line? And that's the biggest takeaway, Larry, is this offensive line, it's just not that great. Like you said, it's okay. Trent Williams is a Hall of Famer, but what about the rest of these guys? There's no Trent Williams on every position on that line. Aaron Banks is good, but he's been dealing with an injury. So I feel like Brock has to do more with less on the O-line than a lot of these other guys, like Jalen Hurts, of course. And his ability to create, he's like a magician out there, you know, and he doesn't get enough credit. Patrick Mahomes, we see that and we're like, oh my God, how does he create that? But Purdy has been doing some similar things. He'll run out of the pocket and make some dimes and here and there, make some Houdini passes. Brock is nice, man. And again, without an offensive line that's elite, he's doing this thing with mind-boggling presence. And sometimes the blitz is coming and he'll get the ball out quick. I mean, the Buccaneers were blitzing a hell of a lot, and he was still getting the ball out as quick as he could. And again, he had a perfect passer rating. I don't think people are talking about that enough. No, the 49ers haven't seen that since 1989, Larry. Joe Montana was the quarterback, and he had a perfect passer rating. That's crazy. You know how old I was when that happened? 5 years old, Larry. It's a long time ago.
I know. I mean, I was a freshman in college the last time a 49er quarterback had a perfect passer rating. I'm now 53 with 2 kids in near grad school. You know, I mean, it's like, it's unbelievable. The guy is playing incredibly well. 18 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's completing 70% of his passes. I mean, you know, it's a great story. I love the way Richard Sherman framed it, though, Raj. He's like, you know what? Screw all this. You know, give him credit, give him respect. He's just gonna take it. You know, he's just gonna take it. If he climbs to the top of the mountaintop and wins the Super Bowl this year for the 49ers, he will essentially have just said, you know what? You want to give me flowers or not? I'm just taking it. You know, the Niners will have to pay him. They'll be glad to pay him. It's funny too, because it's like I get a chance to go into the locker room, talk to the players. The players are some of the most honest people out there. Now, granted, they're not necessarily going to, you know, stand up on a box and rip their teammates. But, you know, when you've been in the locker room enough, you know how to kind of read through what they're saying and how they're saying it. And these guys will let you know off mic and off camera, you know, kind of how they actually feel. And there's just an unbelievable amount of respect and belief in Brock Purdy in that room. Then Shanahan talks. And, you know, are you going to replace your quarterback? Why would I do that? You know, it's like, and he's, you know, totally in Brock's corner. The only people that aren't in Brock's corner are just either people that, for whatever reason, don't see it, don't understand it, or don't want to believe it, or scarred by Jimmy's failure. Maybe they believed in Jimmy and Jimmy let them down and their scope is kind of narrow. Or they were super in on Lance and they believed Lance was the guy and they're still kind of bitter that they got taken for a walk in the park on the whole Trey Lance thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to understand why people that would see a full season of this and hear the guys who know him the best, the players, the coaches, speak in such glowing terms. And then you hear Hall of Fame quarterbacks like Joe Montana and star quarterbacks like, you know, Hall of Famer like Kurt Warner and a star quarterback like Alex Smith, guys that have no real reason to say anything. They're not tied to him in any way. They don't have to say anything positive, and they're giving him their complete endorsement. And yet still people are kind of like, I got to see more. I don't believe. I don't know. I mean, whatever. We'll see. We'll see where it goes, but it is baffling to me.
Yeah, 100%. It's just crazy that everybody wants to doubt him. And I feel a lot of it is just people that wrote him off in the training camp. They want to prove that they were right. So they're just going to stick with this narrative. And a lot of it is just crazy people in the media too. And again, the guy that comes to mind is Nick Wright. This guy has been pounding the table that Brock is terrible. Baker Mayfield's going to he said this is one of the things he said was, Baker. If Baker was on the Niners, they'd still be, Super Bowl contender. If Brock Purdy was on the Buccaneers, they'd be in contention to get Caleb Williams. Like, they'd be so bad. He just doesn't want to believe the Brock Purdy hype. But you know what? I love what Christian McCaffrey said after the game. He goes, I want to see the haters continue because it makes him pissed off and he plays better. So, end of the day, I think it's good. Brock's thriving off of it, and he's making everybody look silly. So.
Yeah, the Nick Wright one is so, who is Nick Wright? I mean, what is his claim to fame? I have no idea really even who he is. I mean, I've heard of him and I've seen him talking on NBA stuff and a few comments here or there. Is this here? Let me see. I think this is Nick Wright's comment. Let me see.
He's like the Walmart version of Skip Bayless, basically. Like, if you really want to put it to, so. Yeah,
that's a great way of saying it. Here is maybe Nick Wright. I think this might be Nick Wright. Here we go.
Let's see.
Percentage is 4th. Completion percentage is 7th. Just wait a little bit. Hold
on a second. This is now I'm going to get as frustrated.
A little bit completion percentage.
All of them he's ahead of Mahomes, I would imagine.
Yeah, but the completion, it's like 98.7.
This is where, like, the frustration Brew had with you last week, I now have with you now. You are making all of the exact same arguments and making the same faces that you made the first 5 weeks of the year. Yeah. And in the last month, you have been slowly but surely coming over to my side of things. Yep. And now you're acting like all of the points all of the concerns I had that you shared on Friday, correct, Brew?
Yes.
That you shared on Friday,
clearly
that they're gone. That they're totally gone.
If it's raining out, I'm going to bring an umbrella. Mm-hmm. And I'll be like, you know what? It's raining out.
Yeah.
But if it's sunny out, you're like, where's your umbrella, Wild?
Well,
where are you? Where's Mr. Raincoat now?
No.
It's sunny out now. Touchdown.
So there you go. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, it makes for good television. It's good entertainment. It's good screaming. That's fine. I mean, I got no real problem with it. To each their own. I do believe that Brock's going to prove the naysayers wrong before it's all said and done. But it is interesting. Look at the people who are critical and and what they can say about their knowledge of football. And then look at the people that are supporting him. Richard Sherman, Alex Smith, Baldinger, Cosell, guys who watch film, NFL quarterbacks, Steve Young, Joe Montana, Kurt Warner. You know what I mean? These are the guys that are saying, even do you watch? I think I asked you this last week. Are you a JTO guy?
Yeah. I finally watched it from last week.
I've yet to see this week, so I'm going to watch it after the show. But JT O'Sullivan seems like at least the last couple that I've watched of his breakdowns on Brock, it's like this guy played quarterback. Didn't necessarily play it at a very high level, but he was a very good college quarterback at Davis. Mm-hmm. And to hear him speak about Purdy, it's like, I mean, he just has such respect for the way Brock goes about his game. It's clear that he's won over, and he's a guy that rolls that film back and forth all day, looking for everything and anything that he wants to, either criticize or compliment. And he's all in on Purdy. So we'll see where it goes. But it does strike me as kind of interesting that there still are in little corners, like people, if Brock throws 3 picks against, Seattle on Thanksgiving, man, the people are going to come out of the woodwork with this, he's not him and all that. Garbage.
Yeah. They're going to be like flies on Dookie. So that's how it's going to be.
Just the way it is. Way it is. Okay. What did you think of the 49er defense the last couple weeks? Now you lose Talanoa Hufanga and Ji'Ayir Brown steps in. Mm-hmm. This is a big moment. This really is. I mean, Raj, this is not, Talanoa Hufanga is not just a player. He's a all-pro safety. The 49ers, are putting a rookie in for an all-pro safety. Before you give me your thoughts on it, let me share the screen one more time. This is Wilkes from earlier today, and this is the question that I asked him earlier today about Ji'Ayir. And here's the great Steve Wilkes. Let's see if we can get that going.
Steve, baby.
There we go. Here we go. We'll put this up there. There we go. Here's Steve Wilkes from earlier today down in Santa Clara on Ji'Ayir.
Steve, how did you feel about the way Ji'Ayir Brown played last week? And this is his first start. What do you want to see from him this week in preparation for Seattle?
Well, I first of all want to acknowledge the mere fact, Puff, a captain. When I say a captain, I'm talking about a leader in the secondary, all-pro player. We're definitely going to miss him, and for Ji'Ayir to step in at that particular time in the game and perform the way he did, it's exciting. But he and I talked last week, and his preparation each and every day, you can see the growth from when he got here back in the spring. He's playing with a great level of confidence, and I think the guys back there with Gibb, Fred, and all the guys he's going to be surrounded with, I think he's going to be fine.
Steve, how did you feel?
So what did you think, Raj? I mean, Ji'Ayir Brown played a really good game. I mean, heck, he may have had the play of the game. He had the game-saving pick in the end zone. Amazing play by Ji'Ayir. What'd you think of him last week? And how, some people actually believe, and I can see why, because we can get into it a little bit, but some people believe that he'll be better than Talanoa Hufanga, which would be amazing. But I can see what their argument there. What was your thought of Ji'Ayir?
Man, I was so impressed with this young man because, again, it was a tough spot to go out and be able to replace Talanoa Hufanga, all pro. And Steve Wilkes is right. He is a captain of this defense. You could tell he's like a young leader. He's only been in the team for 3 years, but he has that like leadership mentality. So, and his instincts are great. Young man has got a good future once he gets back and healthy. But Ji'Ayir Brown, him coming in and making 2 PBUs and the game-sealing interception, that's huge for any player. Not a rookie. This guy's a rookie, So that's a big spot. Just getting thrown into the wolves, and I'm sure the emotions were high. You lose a player, he gets carted off, and you're like, oh my God, I got to step in and not miss a beat. He started off a little shaky. He had a bad play, but after that, he just was rocking, and it was great to see. On the videos and stuff, the 49ers probably, you see Fred Warner and him. As long as the Niners have Fred, he's gonna be good because Fred's gonna kind of settle him in. And he told him during the game, he said, "Look, man, what did I tell you last week?" He says it'll come, and you can see that confidence is definitely growing in Ji'Ayir, and that's a big game for a young man like that. Like Steve said, the confidence builder. He was a guy that came in early during training camp every day. He was there with Hufanga early, and I think he has that that mentality. And it's not like Ji'Ayir Brown's a nobody. This is the guy they drafted with the second round pick they had this year. Like they traded up, or third round pick. Sorry, their first pick in the draft is they traded up to get this guy. Basically, they went in. They made sure they were like, we have to get this guy. This was a guy they really, really wanted. They haven't taken a safety this high or a secondary player this high in a long time. So I think the 49ers were really excited about him. And, it's unfortunate for Hufanga, but I think Ji'Ayir Brown was going to start next year anyways when Gibson's gone because he only signed a 1-year deal. So he's going to start to learn a little bit faster, and I think he can be a better player than Hufanga, which is saying a lot because Hufanga is great. But in terms of coverage skills, this guy is an absolute playmaker. You turn on the film on him from college, I mean, he has a knack for the football. PBUs, interceptions, that's what he did. He was one of the best, safeties in terms of making those plays, of getting safeties or interceptions and stuff. So I have faith in the guy. It's not going to be easy. He is a rookie. Teams are going to pick on him. He's going to have some ups and downs, but I think the moment's not too big for him. He showed it last week. Overall, I think the defense has improved a little bit with Chase Young there. I think it's really helped Nick Bosa free up his game. You could tell he's playing a lot looser. He's getting his stats now. He's getting sacks every game since Chase Young's been there. I do want to see them play the screen passes better. They're still getting, screen pass to death. Like we talked about last week, the Jaguars, and running off to the side, little toss passes and sweep plays. They're still susceptible to that. So they got to tighten up there. Their tackling's gotten better. I think they've missed less tackles over the last couple weeks. But overall, Ji'Ayir Brown, I'm excited. I think this young man has a lot to prove, and I was very impressed for his game on Sunday against the Buccaneers.
I love this kid. I think he's terrific. He's from Trenton, New Jersey, 5'11", about 205, big hands, 10 and an eighth inch hands, and I saw this kid in the I think it was the Rose Bowl. He was the defensive MVP of the Rose Bowl against Utah. The guy had 8 tackles, 1.5 sacks. He had an interception. I mean, come on. The guy's amazing. They call him Tig. That's his nickname. And the players love the guy. And I guess he used to bounce around like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh as a kid. So his parents and grandparents called him Tig. But I mean, this guy was a great high school basketball player that set the New Jersey record for steals in basketball. And you can see that break on the ball when you're watching him. And I think that has a lot to do with his interception production. I mean, this guy played with Jaquan Brisker from the Bears at Penn State, and they were a great tandem. The guy was 3rd team all Big Ten in his second to final year. He had led the FBS with 6 interceptions. I mean, the guy really is a productive interceptor. And, when you combine, and then he was on the Bruce Feldman Freaks list for workouts. So, he had the physical ability, and then he's got the collegiate ball production on the interceptions. And then you talk to him, and it's like, you know what? His head is so screwed on so straight. I mean, he literally is a sponge that wants to get better and better and better. There's not an ounce of fear. I mean, he's got a huge national TV Thanksgiving audience debut coming up here against Seattle, and it's nothing. You can tell he's confident. Borderline cocky, and I like him because I think he's good on both sides. I think he's a fiery run defender in the box, but I also think he's got undeniable coverage instincts, and he's got a great motor. And I asked him. I said, when you're watching film, who do you ask for help? And he's like Bullocks and Gibson and Hufanga and some of the leaders in the room. But the veterans love this guy.
Yeah.
This guy nabbed 10 interceptions over his final 2 seasons as a starter in Happy Valley. So, I mean, we're talking, and the guy has an incredible burst to close, either in coverage or as a blitzer, as a tackler. He's determined. He's physical and run support. And a lot of people want to see him instead of Gibson. And I get that because Gibson's, Hufanga's really the young star and Gibson's kind of an older guy at this point. But in some ways, I kind of feel like Hufanga's strong safety spot is really where Ji'Ayir's going to be best. I think he's better in the box than he is down the field. It's more of a guess than anything, Raj, because I haven't seen enough of him in the NFL. But I'll say this kid, there's a saying in the NFL, next man up. And it's like somebody's going to go down with an injury and the next man up's got to step up. Well, it's cliche and it means jack. You know why? Because if the next man up is Brock Purdy, then it's next man up. But if the next man up is Josh Johnson, you're cooked. You got to know. So in this situation, they lose Hufanga, who's a great young player, but the next man up is a player who might be as good or better. Now, I love George Odom, but if they ask George Odom to play starting safety, there's probably going to be a step back.
Yeah, you're going to have a big drop down in talent. And that's the thing is,
right,
have a next man up. And this guy, his talent is right on pace with the guy like Hufanga. Like, he's got to get a little seasoned here and there. But again, this guy was their big draft pick this year. Like, he was the guy.
They traded up for him.
They made sure to get this guy. Like, this was the crown jewel of their draft class this year. I'm excited. Like, this guy's supposed to be the future. And we were expecting him to be him and Hufanga. You get to see him a little early. I'm so excited about Ji'Ayir Brown because
too.
He is a ball hawk. 10 interceptions in 2 years. That's crazy. That is, and you're kind of right. I like how you said that he's cocky because in his interviews he's like, well, I got a lot of interceptions in college before. Like he knows he's good. Like he
knows he's good, no doubt.
Like, I like this guy's mentality, Larry. I like him.
He reminds me of a guy I know named Raj from Instagram. Raj knows he's good. He's got 250,000 followers on the IG, and you mentioned the IG to the guy, and he just kind of he knows he's something. I'm kind of a big deal. I've got lots of leather-bound books, and I've got furniture that smells of rich mahogany. And
no, he's not like that, Larry. Like 30 sponsors on YouTube, killing the game. That's the guy.
Yeah. What if I said that to him? Are you hot, kind of like me, Raj? Or Tig? What if I start calling him Tig? That would annoy everybody if I start using his nickname.
Don't say it. Someone we were in the game, and my friend, she was like, "What's like?" She was saying Tig. I was like, "Why are you saying his name Tig? It's Ji'Ayir Brown." She's like, "What's IG name?" I was like, "I don't refer to these players as their freaking IG."
Well, here's the thing. If you know him and you meet him and he says, "Hey man, don't call me Ji'Ayir, call me Tig," then you've got the license to call him Tig.
Okay.
But if you're just like walking around using everybody's nickname, no.
Yeah.
That's not good. Not good at all. What do you think of Chase? What do you think of Chase Young so far? Bosa was asked about him today, and Bosa said, let me quote this right from Nick. He said that he just that Chase Young brings a real good energy.
Yes.
Said he brings a real good energy. What do you think of the way Chase played in this last game or the last couple games?
So 2 games he's played, and 2 games I've been absolutely so happy with this. Like I'm so excited seeing Chase Young every week. Like he's larger than life. This was his first game in Levi Stadium. He got his first full sack, and it wasn't just that. There was times where he was stunting, and he was good against the run, not just pass rusher. But I know it took him a little while to kind of get going and getting the pass rush going. But his ability is just amazing on the field. Like he really opens it up for Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is having the best time of his life in the last 2 weeks. So that to me is the reason why Chase is here, to help Nick Bosa and free him up. But Chase is doing his thing too. Again, talked about this last week when we signed him. He's so money motivated. He's in a contract year. Basically, he is playing the best football of his career. People doubted him. He won Rookie of the Year. He got injured, and they said, he fell off. He's not the same. This guy is out there playing so hungry. And let me tell you, he got a sack going up against Tristan Wirfs. Nobody else did. That was his sack of the game, and it was one-on-one with Tristan Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs is probably one of the best offensive tackles in the league. Like he is so good.
He's a load, man. He's like 325 and just athletic.
And the move he put on him and got past him and got big, I was like, wow, Chase Young is the real deal. The more I watch him, the more I hope the 49ers can bring him back next year. Like I want Chase 49ers for at least 3 more seasons. Like give him to the 9. This guy is so much fun. Like his mentality, he had a freaking dip in his, talking post game with freaking dip in his chin. Like, yeah, I love this team.
Did you see the chain he had?
He goes like, this is a
dude. I thought that was like the Academy Awards or something. I was like, I was getting like glare off his chain. I was like, bro, and he's got the lipper.
That's what I'm saying. He got the dip and he got the chain. Yeah, I love the 49ers. It's the best team I ever been on. And like, because Hittner was like, I played on the Buffalo. They were a losing team. I come to the Niners. And he's like, and you can see his eyes light up. Like, yeah, we're actually on a winning team that cares. Like, I love this guy so much. He's what the Niners needed on defense. Like, just a cold, stone cold, big old dude that just gritty, man. They needed a guy like this. I love him so much, Larry.
Oh, man. There was the scene in the locker room the other day when he's talking after the game. So he's got the chain that's just ridiculous. Like it's just so shiny. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was just the most bling I think I've ever seen in an NFL locker room. Oh my God. So that tells you he's a star.
Yeah. Wear sunglasses next time.
He's got the entire Copenhagen can, which tells you he's kind of a badass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So he's like a combination of a star and a badass. And even the PR guys were like, really? That big of a dip? You can see it. But I'm like, dude, he's a defensive lineman, man. They're supposed to be badasses.
Yeah.
And to me, if he had the chain but not the dip, he wouldn't be as good of a player. If he had the dip but not the chain, he wouldn't be as good of a player. You need the combo.
Yeah.
It's called the dip and the drip, right?
You got drip. That's it.
The dip and the drip.
When I saw the dip, I was like, this is the guy the Niners needed. He's just like a gritty, like you said, a badass. I was like, man, they've needed this type of energy. He's just like it's like you see him and you piss him off, he's just going to throw an elbow at you. Like, that's the guy he is. Yeah.
The drip tells you he's a star. The dip tells you he's a badass.
The drip and the dip. Let's go.
The drip and the dip.
Oh, shit.
I got to mention that to him next time. He probably hit me if I say it. But
he might do the elbow to you, Larry.
Krueger's down. Freaking the drip and the dip. But the sound bite off the drip and the dip would
just be good, man. you'll have a fat lip because
yeah.
dip.
Now, Raj, have you ever chewed?
I no, but I know a lot.
You never tried it.
No.
You never tried it.
No.
Not even once.
No, man. I got a heart condition. I gotta watch what I do with.
Okay.
But
all right.
I know a lot of people that did, and man, it's just like it's gross.
Dude, I knew guys in the Canadian League that used to play with dips in.
Oh, that's so gross, man.
Can you imagine running around out there playing with a dip in?
That's
all
gross.
that juice.
That thing just like dripping down. I can't. That's gross, man.
I used to know guys used to dip in the upper tank up here.
Wow.
I mean, that's a bad look too.
Gross. Man.
Yeah. Oh, it's awful.
Oh.
But yeah, the drip and the dip, man. Chase Young. All right, you are a jersey wearer, right? You do wear jerseys. Now, I don't know. I did too many shows with Gary Radnich, and he used to say, "Hey, man, once you get to a certain age, take off the jersey." And my dad wasn't a jersey wearing guy, and I'm just, I just never. I had jerseys when I was a little kid and everything, but I'm not a jersey wearer. I don't wear jerseys. But which Niner jerseys? But I don't judge people who do. You know what? I love it. I mean, if I wasn't in the media, if I wasn't, we're supposed to be. I mean, everybody who knows, people sometimes will say, they'll hear me give an opinion and they'll say that you're not a journalist. And I always say, fuck, you're wrong. You're right. I'm not a journalist. I'm an editorialist. That's what I give opinions. I'm not a beat writer. I'm like a columnist. I give opinions. That's what people on the radio do. That's what people on YouTube do. That's what I'm doing here. I'm not a journalist. I don't live by journalistic integrity. I am a editorialist, and I give you my unfiltered opinions, and then you guys decide if you think they're valid or not, or worthy or whatever. So I'm not a journalist. People, you're not a journalist. You're right. I'm not a journalist. But the one thing that I kind of feel like I am a journalist is I won't wear a jersey. I'm a big Brock Purdy guy. You'd never catch me dead in a Brock Purdy jersey.
Oh, wow.
I mean, and it's nothing against Brock. I'm not a jersey wearing guy.
It's not your vibe.
It's not my vibe. And it's just like, to me, it seems like, I don't know. It's like if you're in the media and you're supposed to be covering this and being even objective and you got a jersey on, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It reeks of, I have no, I've got a huge bias built in. Yeah. But what jerseys do you have? Because you have multiple jerseys, right? No, you don't?
No, I have a lot of jerseys.
Oh, I was going to say, I could have swore I saw you at training camp with a jersey on.
Yeah, I probably was wearing a jersey.
So what jerseys do you have? And I wanted to throw out the question, not just to you, but everybody in the chat. Based on everything you know about all these Niner players, the way they play, the way they talk, where they're from, what they represent, whatever you think about them based on the images you've seen and what you've read. If you had to buy a 49er jersey of somebody today, this one makes me laugh. Niners worldwide. Imagine Larry in the locker room with a jersey on.
Funny,
that'd be awesome.
I know.
That would just be awesome. All these people just pissed at me. I'm getting stank eye from like Eric Branch and Cam Inman and these guys. Mayoka's like, I got a gigantic Kinlaw jersey on or something.
God, geez.
But that would be awesome. I wish I could try that. I wish I could get away with that.
That would the trend drip, man.
But if you were going to buy, now you tell me what jerseys you have, but I want to know from the audience, if you had to buy a jersey of a Niner player right now, based on whatever criterion you want to throw out there, whose jersey would you rock?
That's a good question.
Now, which jerseys do you have as people are typing in their answers? Somebody says, Susan says Ray. I like that.
Okay.
Ray McLeod.
Ray. Let's see.
I love Ray, man. Ray's the man.
He's a cool dude. He's a cool cat. He's
very cool guy. Very cool guy.
Good personality. To me, it's more of a question: what jersey don't I have? I have so many, Larry. Like,
really? How many do you got?
I could like pull out this. I got like stacks of jerseys. Sometimes people send them to me. I get free ones. I get merch, and then
are they all like authentic?
Yeah, like real deal jerseys. I've got
really.
I got Bosa, Kittle, Warner, CMC, Debo, Trent Williams. Like a lot of the the current guys. How
do you decide what to wear to the game?
That's the hardest choice. Sometimes I'm like, who do I wear? So I just try to rotate them, and then it depends. I got like road jerseys, and I got a lot. I got an Ayuk. I got, you know what?
Do you have one of the black jerseys?
That's my Ayuk one. It's the black and red one. But
the only thing I don't like about that jersey is there's no outline to the numbers of the names. So like if you're sitting far away, it's really hard to read.
It's hard to tell. People didn't like that one because of that fact, but I love it with like just wearing it to wear it. It's a good looking jersey, you know, it matches with a lot. But I realize it's hard to buy jerseys for players now because they leave so much, and you know, you can't really like quarterback jerseys. I have a Trey, I have a Jimmy, you know, I have all the quarterbacks. I haven't bought a Brock yet.
Niner gang's like, can I get one, Raj?
Yeah.
Ooh, you want Raj to give you one of his jerseys?
No, I
come on, Raj cannot be giving away jerseys. He's going good on IG, but wait until he goes good on YouTube.
Yeah,
then he'll start giving away the jerseys.
Start doing it. But what I started doing though over the years is because you never know when players are going to leave. Because I got Bird, I got like Torrey Smith jerseys, Carlos.
Oh yeah, like, I was gonna say, yeah. So what's the worst? Okay, what's the worst jersey that you have?
I got.
Wait! Don't tell me you don't have a you don't have a Jared Hayne jersey, do you?
You want to know the worst jersey I have?
Yes.
Who's the worst draft pick that the 49ers have had? Wide receiver.
Wide receiver? I mean, Jalen Hurd?
AJ Jenkins.
Oh!
I didn't buy it. It's a long story. People that know me from my IG,
awesome.
Like, there's a big story, but yeah, AJ Jenkins is the worst jersey. But I started buying like throwback jerseys, like Young, Montana, Willis, and all those.
Right.
You know, and I had those jerseys like Willis.
But
now
Jenkins.
I only want to buy throwbacks because you can't. Those guys aren't going to be leaving the team. They're legends, you know. So it's hard to buy jerseys nowadays because you never know who's going to stick around with the team.
I got to tell you my AJ Jenkins story, Raj. It's draft night. I'm doing a draft show in the for Cambiar across from the War Room. Harbaugh and Balky come in.
Oh my God.
I asked Harbaugh what he likes about AJ Jenkins. I swear to you, he'd never seen him play. You know, yeah. You know, there's a lot of things. Really good, solid young man, and you know, there's a lot of things really that stick out about him. He's got, he comes out of a good conference, and I mean, young man's got a bit of speed to him.
No,
bit of speed.
God.
Yeah. And it was like, oh my God, Harbaugh's never seen this guy play. He couldn't tell me anything about him. And then I said to Trent, I'm like, Trent, tell us why AJ Jenkins. And Trent goes into remember that draft day Sonny Weaver thing where he wrote down Vontae Mack no matter what?
Yeah.
Remember that? Trent goes into his version of Vontae Mack no matter what. You know, Larry, I took AJ Jenkins' name and I wrote it down on a card. I took that card and I put it in an envelope and I put that envelope in my desk. And this morning, you know, Larry, I took out that card and that envelope and I said, yeah, it's AJ Jenkins' day. And he had this big story, and I'm like, looking back on that story years later, I'm like, dude, I mean, that just makes it worse. It makes it just so much worse.
That makes it a thousand. Now that I know that story, Larry, it makes it so much more disgusting and it makes it so much more disgusting that I have the jersey never worn, never touched. It's pristine, mint condition.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Here's my rule of thumb. If you played 4 years in a major conference like the Big Ten and nobody's ever freaking heard of you, don't draft that guy. God. Don't draft the guy who played in a major conference that nobody's heard of. But anyway, if you were going to buy a jersey today, we digress. Yeah. If you were going to buy a jersey today of a Niner, any Niner, whose jersey would you buy, and what exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for toughness? Are you looking for speed? Are you looking for flash? Are you looking for substance? Do you want a story behind it? I'd love to know what, you know, not only just whose jersey, but why.
There's so many good. Again, I've got so many of these like current players. If I'm gonna buy a jersey now of the current today, I'm gonna. If I didn't have the jerseys I had, and I had to like sit there and pick a jersey, I'm buying Fred Warner's jersey. Man, this guy's
Fred Warner. Okay, that's a good one.
He's like, you know, he's gonna be there for a while. Like he's dedicated to the team. He's not going anywhere. That's the other thing is if I'm gonna get a jersey, I need to make sure it's a guy that's not going anywhere. He's one of the faces of the team, a captain, leader. When you wear that Fred Warner jersey, you're like, damn, man, I'm wearing a jersey of a great 49er. He's going to go down in the books of one of the best linebackers to play in the NFL, not just the night. He's going to pass Patrick Willis' stats in a year or two. He's moving up there. Like, he is going to go down as one of the all-time great 49ers, and he's such a good person. Like, you just see him on and off the field. He's a phenomenal person. It's Fred Warner to me, man. He's the heart and soul of this team right now. He's the captain of that defense. And over these years, watching him has been so great, seeing him develop into the player he is. Like, I think he should be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Whether he wins it or not, it's to be the case, because there's some great edge rushers.
Yeah, he won't. But yeah, he should be in the running, but he won't even be in the running.
So if I had to get a jersey and I have no jersey that I have, I'm going to get a Fred Warner jersey, man. He is the absolute king of the Niners right now. I love Fred Warner. He's great.
Okay, I'm going with a Shamar Jean Charles. No, no. I think there's only two reasons I would buy a jersey.
Mm-hmm.
If I like the guy, and I have to like the number and the guy, or otherwise, like, I like Brock Purdy, but I can't wear 13.
13 is weird, yeah.
13. There's something about 13 now. I can't go 13. I can't go 13. Love you, Brock, but I can't go 13. I might go Colton McKivitz just because I like Colton McKivitz. I mean, Colton McKivitz is my dude, man. I like Colton, man. He's a good old boy from West Virginia, and his dad makes like Daniel Boone hats. And
yeah, I saw that when he got drafted. He wore a raccoon hat.
Yeah. I mean, the dad makes real hats out of raccoons and stuff. So maybe Colton McKivitz, but McKivitz has struggled, so I don't want to get too heckled too much. I think I would go with the guy who I think is the biggest badass out there. I think I'm going to wear a 57, a Dre Greenlaw.
Ooh, that's a good one. I want to get a
Dre Greenlaw jersey. In fact, PMG here in the chat, Greenlaw 100%.
I like it.
Yeah, Dre Greenlaw. That 57 is that's a great looking number.
That's a good jersey. I don't have that one.
That's a great number. And also Greenlaw is just everything that I love in a football player. I mean, some guys, the old coach used to say to me, Larry, let me tell you a little bit about NFL players. I'm like, all right, coach, tell me. He's like, some guys play for the girls. Some guys play for the greenbacks. And some guys play, and he pauses. He's like, just to fuck shit up. and Dre Greenlaw plays to F shit up.
He really does.
He does, man. I get the feeling that he would play for free as long as he could hit people.
He fucking loves to hit, dude.
Oh, he loves to hit. I asked him about it last year. I'm like, you love to hit, don't you? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, he's a little sadistic. I love it.
I said to him in that Pittsburgh game, I said, you were in the second half of that Pittsburgh game, Dre, were you letting those passes be completed in front of you so you could step up and hit guys? And as I said that, Hufanga, who shares a locker with him on the other side, looks over and just started laughing. And he's like,
yeah,
yes, he did.
Like sometimes, yeah, I get that vibe too. Did you hear his story? Do you watch the Warner House? So Fred Warner has his own podcast now.
Right, yeah.
So he has Greenlaw on his show a lot now because obviously it's easy person to get.
He said that Greenlaw said he didn't think the Niners wanted him, or the Niners were like the last team he thought he would go to, or what was it? I didn't see it exactly. I saw that he said something, but I didn't see what he said.
So he talked. There's a couple of stories that he's had now. So the first one that you're mentioning is when he went to the combine and all the interviews with Kyle Shanahan. Like, he didn't get the impression that Kyle liked, but like Kyle was like, all right, cool, whatever. And like he said he got that vibe like Kyle didn't care about him, and he's like, I don't think that we're gonna get even mentioned by the 49ers. And when he got drafted, he was like, oh, I guess Kyle did like me, But the funny story was actually this week because they're playing the Seahawks, and Fred asked him, he's like, man, you dominate the Seattle Seahawks. We all know the goal line stand, right? A couple years back, 2019, and he's like, what is it with you against the Seattle Seahawks? Because if you know Greenlaw, like all the Niner content creators, people, we call him like the Seahawk killer because he is like the killer of the Seahawks. When the Niners play him, like he brings his A game. Like he always makes big plays. So he goes, okay, so it goes back to the combine. He's having an interview with Pete Carroll, and he was trying to like explain things to Pete in his interview. And he says Pete was just chewing his gum, like chewing his gum.
Right.
Cool story, man. Like cool story. Like he like kind of like shrugged him off. and didn't give him the time of the day. And like Dre Greenlaw's trying to like show him, so like, oh my God, it's the Seahawks, Pete Carroll. And he tried to show him, press him, and Pete's like, whatever. He just like shrugged him off. And since that day, and he got drafted with the Niners, he says, I've been looking to basically make him pay for not drafting on me, like just for sleeping on me. So now every time he plays the Seahawks, he remembers Pete Carroll saying, yeah, okay, cool, man, cool guy, like just shrugging him off. So that's why he played so good against the Seahawks. I thought that
deliver the pain to the Seahawks. Yeah. That hit that Greenlaw had. Who was that on? Do you remember who that was on the goal line?
Oh yeah, there was Will what's his name?
Was it Lockett?
No. It was the tight end. Christ, I can't think of his name right now. It's
Disley?
Will Disley, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that was what a hit. What a hit that was. One of the greatest tackles in Niner history, really.
Yeah.
Phenomenal tackle. We got this one I want to play you too. This is also a really good one.
Oh, was it Hollister? Sorry, it was Hollister.
Was it Hollister?
Hollister, yeah. Sorry, not Disley. It was Hollister.
But it was a tight end.
Yeah, it was a tight end.
This is a great moment from last week. Here's the end of the game last week. You got Ji'Ayir making the play, and then I guess he got his air knocked out. Listen to the live here. How great is that, dude?
I love it, man.
How great is that? I mean, seriously, that stuff like that is the stuff that I just love to watch. I can watch stuff like that all day.
That's the best. That's why I love Fred Warner. He just like won us the game, man. Now get up and celebrate.
Yeah.
like
stay down. You're right. You get your air knocked out. You're all right. You're all right.
I think Ji'Ayir's like trying to soak up the moment. If you saw him, you saw him in the locker room, right?
Yeah,
He's holding on to that ball for like dear life. I was like, this guy really was soaking up the moment, man.
One of the things that came out today that was kind of interesting is that Steve Wilks said that last week he said that Ji'Ayir was ready to play. This week he mentioned that not only is Ji'Ayir ready to play, but the other guy who you saw in that picture there, D. Winters, he says D. Winters is ready to play. Now, I was more impressed this summer by Jalen Graham than D. Winters. But when I watched D. Winters for TCU in the national semi against Michigan, shooting gaps and, bringing down ball carriers and playing fast, I thought to myself, wow, this kid's incredible. Then he had like one of the lowest verticals at the combine, which means that he doesn't have great lower body explosion, which means that a year from now, after a year in an NFL weight room, and he starts working on his lower body explosion, he's going to be even more explosive than he showed at TCU. But according to Wilks, D. Winters is ready to roll. If they need a inside backer, he says he feels total confidence that D. Winters can do the job. So that was great to hear. We haven't seen him much of him this year, really.
Yeah, him and Jalen Graham, and I like both of those guys in training camp. But we talked about them a lot during training camp season. But at the end of the day, Larry, they're going to have to wait because we have two great linebackers. Like we just talked about Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. So that's such a luxury. And I know everybody, probably people in the chat are mentioning Shaq Leonard was released for the Colts.
I saw that today. My kids mentioned that to me. What do you think? Why? What's going on there? Wasn't Shaq Leonard making like 15 tackles a game? Yeah. What's going on there? Is he hurt? Is it an attitude thing? Is it an off-field thing? And what do you make of Shaq Leonard suddenly becoming a free agent?
I mean, I think that he was like little in their eyes, maybe declining a little bit. He did have some injuries last year, back injuries and stuff. So I think they're trying to just like cut it loose before it gets to the point where, they have to commit to him anymore. But from what I understand is, he was declining a little bit and he did have injury problems here and there, but still a great player. That's an all pro player. But I mean, I know people are going to say, should the Niners get him? I don't even think I don't even know if we have enough waiver wire prior to get him. And also it's just,
how old is Shaq Leonard right now?
Let's see. He's got to be.
He was NFL defensive rookie of the year. Guy was an all pro linebacker, 6-year veteran.
6 years. Let's see. How old is he?
31, maybe?
Got to be about 30. He's let's see. He is 30. Where does it say? Why can't it say? 28. He's only 28.
28.
28. Young buck. Wow. Second round, pick 36 in 2008.
Yeah, 2018 draft out of South Carolina State. played with Javon Hargrave.
2018 Rookie of the Year, 3-time first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro in 2019, 3-time Pro Bowler, NFL forced fumbles leader in 2021, tackles leader 2018. Jeez, man, what a good player. Wow.
Goes by fast in the NFL, man. What did you think of Chiefs Eagles the other night? Who do you fear more, Chiefs or Eagles? Eagles got the win. For people who missed it, Eagles got the win at Arrowhead. Chiefs wide receivers are just terrible. My God, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, just quit. At this point, just quit. I mean, that was awful. He lost the game for him.
Him and Travis Kelce. I've never seen Travis Kelce sell a game.
Kelce and Watson. How about Mahomes on the fourth down play? It was 4th and 25. He throws a rocket 26 yards deep to Justin Watson at the 38. Would have been a first down. Hits him in the hands. Hit him in the helmet. Couldn't catch it. You're paid to catch. You're a receiver.
Well, those guys, whatever happens with Chiefs this year, if they win the Super Bowl or not, they're going to invest heavily on wide receivers. Like, I already know that they're going to make sure they get so many wide receivers this offseason because they are selling that team. I was impressed by their defense. Like, their defensive line was so good yesterday. They had that game, but if they could actually make some passes, they're a dominating team. But I still think they'll make it to the Super Bowl just because that team is Patrick Mahomes, and I can't see Kelce selling them like that during the playoffs. But you never know. Andy Reid's a great coach, so I think he'll have them ready. But those receivers, man, are terrible. I was impressed with the Eagles to come into Arrowhead and come back and win that game was like, wow, okay. I mean, they didn't have the best game of their season, but they're winning these games. They're 9-1. Their line in the trenches, offensively, defensively, looks great. It's going to be a tough battle to play the Eagles in a few weeks. That's not going to be an easy game, Larry. And the rookie Carter they drafted from Georgia.
Jalen Carter.
Holy, that guy is a stud.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's a monster. He had some problems off the field, but he moves incredibly well. He's a bad A. He's just a tremendous football player. He wore 99 for Georgia on a team full of crazy athletes. He stood out. I mean, he really did. He stood out. I mean, they're let me ask you this. Is there a counter to the tush push? Because the Eagles seem like they're playing a different game than everybody else. If they get to 3rd and 3, they're in 4-down territory as long as they're outside their 20-yard line. And so they can be real conservative on 3rd and 3 and, run for a yard if they want to, because they're going for it on 4th and 1 with the tush push. Is there how would you counter the tush push?
Honestly, I don't think anybody can stop it. Like, the Eagles run it so effectively because other teams try it, but their offensive line is specifically Kelce. He's so good. He's so strong at getting that push. And Jalen Hurts, his lower body strength is impressive, man. Like, if the only way to stop it is to hope that one of those two guys get hurt, because those two are the key to that play. And everybody else kind of piles up. But Jalen Hurts,
seems like he always goes to the gap between the left shoulder of Kelce and the right shoulder of Landon Dickerson.
Correct. Yeah,
and he stays low and he goes into that center left guard hole.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what the answer is. What do? You put Kinlaw in there? I mean, if the Niners knew it was coming and they could run their most stout defensive lineman out there, who would they even have out there? It would be Kinlaw and Armstead.
I think honestly, I think Hargrave, because he played on that defensive line for the Eagles. Like, I think the only guy that maybe Hargrave could help stop it, because he knows how to shift and how, like you said, where Hurts is going to be. Like, maybe he could predict it. I mean, he's not as big as Kinlaw, but Kinlaw, as big as he is, he's not as strong as he should be, you know what I mean? Because of the years of missing, time and development and stuff because of the injuries. I think you just got to roll with Hargrave, maybe sneak in like Warner in the gap there, see if he could kind of plug it up. But that play is so hard to stop, Larry. That's why they do it.
I know. No, I know. It's crazy. But it does seem like in this era where we're just have total disdain for leading with your head, total disdain for any kind of helmet to helmet, we're basically taking a rugby scrum play and they're doing it all the time. And it's all it is helmet on helmet. All it is just
brutal.
It's literally, head on head. And it's like, what, and they, running backs. I've seen running backs get penalized in the NFL for leading with the crown. Are we going to see a Jalen Hurts penalized for leading with the crown? Because that's what he's doing. He's leading with the crown.
I think that's what the argument is for the people that want it to be, banned and stuff. Like, that's what they're trying to say, is it is a dangerous play, not only for the opposing team, but for the Eagles itself. Like, you're putting Jalen Hurts at risk for scrambling his brain. Like, he's going to have CTE because of this stupid play in some point of his, his life. So it's a great play, but it's going to come with some risk down the line. But I mean, if you can't stop it, you might as well keep doing it. If I'm the Eagles, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're going to keep doing it, and they do it well, and they got the quarterback, and you're right. He's got really incredible leg strength and drive, and they've got two real great powerhouse drive blocking offensive linemen in Dickerson and Kelsey. And it's just, it's an impossible play to stop. I will say this, though. There's two elements of the play. There's the leading with the head and getting low. Okay.
Yeah.
But then there's also this, you get a surge, and then you get a second surge. And then sometimes you get a third surge. And there's this lack of whistle being blown where it's like you get a surge, but you don't go to the ground. Because if you go to the ground, now you gotta get as low as you can, but not touch your knees on the ground. But you're leading with your head. Everything's super low, but if you touch your knee down, you're down. So then the whistle doesn't blow. And if you notice that, it's like they get an initial push, and then the defense may stop it. But now the pushers, like let's say the fullback and the running back, now push from behind. Now they're getting a second push. Okay, maybe the D-line pushes back. But then all of a sudden it's like, let's get another alignment in there. Let's give it a third push.
Yeah.
And part of the success of that play is that nobody blows the whistle.
You don't know.
You don't know when the play's over.
Yeah, you don't know when it's over. And
it's like a second effort, a third effort. You know when they're going to kill that play, Raj? When suddenly the Eagles are getting 3.5 or 4 yards a pop.
You think so?
Because what if you had a team, let's say a team that had a dominant center, and let's say you had a dominant center. Let's just take Colts. Let's say the Colts in a year are an awesome team, and they got Quentin Nelson at left guard, one of the greatest left guards in the game. Yeah. Let's say they get some powerhouse 350-pound center, okay, and they get Anthony Richardson. And Anthony Richardson is kind of almost like a running back. He's so powerful, so strong. And let's just say they start getting, 3.5 yards, 4 yards on this second effort, third effort, tush push, brotherly shove or whatever the hell they call it. What if all of a sudden they went no huddle? What if they stopped running plays? What if they just said, you know what? We're going tush push all the way down the field. It's 1st and 10. It's 2nd and 6. It's 3rd and 3. First down. It's 2nd and, you know what I'm saying? And
if they do that, that's ridiculous. Because then it becomes basically rugby.
That's when they'll outlaw it. Why? Because nobody wants to watch that crap on television.
If you want to watch it, go watch rugby, Larry. No,
right. But I mean, think about it. We're at that point where Philly, I'd love to see what Philly's average is on that play. I bet you it's like 2.8 a carry on that tush push.
Close to 3, yeah, it's close to 3.
So if it gets to, let's just say you had a better version of Hurts and a better center and a bigger guard, and and you really could have that first surge, that second surge, that third surge, and now you're getting 3.5, 4 yards a carry. Now you're going no huddle, and now all you got is all these guys in the middle of the field just kind of
scrub it.
People would hate watching it.
I would hate that game.
It would be the worst game of all time to watch. It would eliminate all athleticism. Mm-hmm. But if you couldn't stop it, then wouldn't then when the TV ratings went down, when people were like, no, I don't want to watch that, then they would ban it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
They probably don't care about the injuries. They care more about the viewing.
They want the viewership. Yeah, I think that's what the ultimately that's what they want, because the more people watch, the more money in their pocket, more advertisers, all that stuff. Yeah, 100%.
All right, let's read some supers and we'll bolt for the door here. We've got Nick who says, Krug, the mediocre O-line should elevate the narrative on Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got great options to throw to, but his protection is average at best. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh.
Teasy in the house. Teasy drops this one. He says, two things can be true. Purdy is playing nearly perfect football and is good enough to win the Super Bowl, and he's playing with by far the best supporting cast and system in the NFL. Say I'm wrong. Wait, by far the best supporting cast? By far? Eagles have a better O-line. Yeah. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, you're telling me Debo and Ayuk are far and away better than Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown? No.
Yeah, they're close together.
Even if they're better, they're not far better.
Not far and away, yeah.
I mean, Devontae won the Heisman. A.J. Brown's been awesome this year.
Devontae, those two guys are great, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Goddard and Kittle. I mean, I'd rather have Kittle, but Goddard's damn good. Eagles O-line's better than the Niner O-line. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. I hear what you're saying, Teasy. Teasy is basically saying, hey, Brock's playing great, but don't forget he's got a great
absolutely
supporting cast.
Yeah.
But I mean, do we have to even have a refresher course here? The Niners' last Super Bowl win was Steve Young. It was 1994. I was 24 years old. His running back was Ricky Waters. His fullback was bar none. His tight end was Brent Jones. His receivers were Jerry Rice and John Taylor. He had a great offensive line. His defense had B.Y., future Hall of Famer, on the front end, and Dion on the back end with Mert and McDonald and Norton and Plummer and Woodall. And I mean, just stacked. Yeah. So that was the last Niner team. The last Joe Montana team, Roger Craig, Tom Rathman, Jerry Rice, Brent Jones, John Taylor, Ronnie Lott, loaded team, both sides of the ball. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying my point is just that I think you're right, Teasy, but it ain't the first time. You know what I mean? And if you look at Mahomes has had Tyreek and Kelsey and Pacheco and Reed. You know, Brady had, Edelman and Gronk and Randy Moss and, a killer Bill Belichick defense. And, so I don't know. Nobody's really doing this all by themselves.
To make it to the Super Bowl, you got to be. I mean, good teams win the Super Bowl. Not bad teams don't make the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So you have to have a pass. That's what the whole.
But I hear what he's saying.
No, I hear what you're saying. It just baffles me when people are, Barty has a good team around him. Like, that's the goal of an NFL team, of any sports franchise, is to put together a good team. Like, of course he's going to play good because he has good players around him. But Brock is doing good when those players are not always there. So I digress. But Brock Purdy's getting too much hate.
They didn't look too good without Brock in the when he went out in the NFC Championship game. Couldn't get plays called on time. Couldn't get a first down. Yeah. I'm not putting it all on poor Josh Johnson, but still. Hicks says Brock is leading in almost all categories regarding quarterback stats. Do you think Brock can win the MVP, or is that award more about popularity? That's a great question. What do you think, Raj? I'll throw that one to you. Can Brock Purdy win the MVP?
He should be in the discussion, and I think he could, but the problem is the NFL is not going to give it to him because he hasn't proven anything. He hasn't won any big games, and there, like we talked about earlier, how the media is kind of just unfairly scrutinizing Brock because he is the last pick of the draft. They're going to say all the things that we just talked about, how, he has a cast. Well, he has this great defense. He has Kyle Shanahan calling his plays. He has Trent Williams. He has this and that. I think that's going to work against him in an MVP vote for whatever reason, because the media is against it. But he should be in the MVP, category. You know what I mean? Because look, we just talked about all his stats earlier. Number one in pretty much every statistical category. The guy is unbelievable. I mean, perfect passer rating this last week. He's setting records for the 49ers. He's on pace to have one of the best seasons in 49er quarterback history. There's been some great quarterbacks on this team. You mentioned them. Joe Montana, Steve Young, right? Jeff Garcia was the last time they even had a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's going to have a better season than him. Like, this is a very good season by a second-year quarterback. And it is absolutely amazing what he's been doing overall this season. And
where do you rank him?
I mean,
Is he a top 10 guy?
He is a top 10 to me because if you
Is he
take away
better? He's having a better year than Josh Allen? Is he
He
better
is.
than Josh Allen?
And we need to have that conversation. Just because Josh Allen is Josh Allen, the media go, "Oh God, Josh Allen, he's got this robot arm. He's good, but he leads the NFL in interceptions." I got to tell you, man, Brock Purdy is so safe. He's playing better than him, bar none. You look at the stats, you look at the film, he's playing better. And the thing of this, if you're the MVP, you have to say this: if you take this man away from that team, would they be winning the games? Absolutely not. We just said in the Philadelphia game, NFC Championship, Larry, you didn't have Brock Purdy and the game was a loss. You take away Brock Purdy from this roster and you put Sam Darnold at quarterback, 49ers are not 7-3.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, and that's why nobody's calling for Sam Darnold, by the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, if people's the counter, Raj, is, hey, if you put Josh Allen on the Niners, he'd do great. Right?
Would he though?
I said the other day that I'd rather have Purdy than Herbert, and you would have thought that I said that. And somebody in the chat here said that I said that I'd rather have Purdy than Joe Montana. I never said that. Come on. I mean, this is not vodka. All right, this is not vodka. Come on. I mean, come on. But Herbert's sub 500. Now, Herbert looks the part. Let's be honest. Herbert looks the part. 6'6", 240, great arm. Who's better?
I mean, on the traits, if I'm looking at these two guys and you just base them on their traits, yeah, you look at Justin Herbert, you're going to take him 9 times out of 10. His coach is terrible.
Right.
But
it's a big part of it.
Where I'm telling you, the argument is, yeah, okay, these guys look better than Purdy. They look, like a quarterback more than Brock Purdy. They have the arm traits. This is why all those guys were drafted higher than Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy's the guy that's going out there and delivering. And whether it's the system that he's on or the team that's around him, because people are going to say, oh, well, he has all the great supporting cast.
Right, and he does.
It's not like these guys don't have supporting cast, because in the early offseason, everybody was touting up, oh, the Bills are going to be a Super Bowl contender.
Right.
Oh, Chargers are going to be a Super Bowl contender. So if they're so great, why can't they elevate their team? If they're supposed to be this god of a quarterback, why are they struggling and Brock Purdy's not? Like, Brock Purdy did go through his tough stretch, but look what he did these last 2 weeks. And I got to say, during those games where he lost, like Cleveland, that just hit him like a ton of bricks. But those other 2 games, I mean, he played through a concussion. Like, let's not sugarcoat it here. That might have had an impact. And, the team was behind. He's still learning how to do that. Once he figures that out, I don't think you can stop Brock Purdy, man. This guy, to me, should be in the MVP conversation. Because, again, you take away Brock Purdy from this team, do they win 7 games right now? Are they a 7-win team? Absolutely not, Larry.
I asked Shanahan the other day, I said, were you worried that when Brock was throwing those interceptions, and you obviously don't want to see those interceptions, that he would lose confidence or change the way he plays? And he's like, no, because, in those games that he threw those picks, the film showed that he really looked good in the first part of those games. He had a bad fourth quarter in Minnesota. And as you suggested, it may have been concussion related. Even if it wasn't, it's still a bad quarter. He had completed 85% of his passes in the first 3 quarters of that game. And then as far as the Cincinnati game, those were bad turnovers as well. And you can't make those turnovers. Nobody would apologize for him, but he played great in that Cincinnati game and really kept them in it until that fourth quarter. And then of course turned it over 3 times in the fourth. And that was huge. I mean, those were huge negative plays, and you can't do that. But that was Kyle's point, was like, hey, that's why he kind of pushed back so aggressively when people were like, hey, you're going to change your quarterback. No, I'm not going to change my quarterback because my quarterback's playing great. He's just throwing a couple of ill-timed turnovers.
Yeah.
But a lot of people thought that those turnovers were like defining. Like, this is who he really is. Like, oh, now the clock struck midnight and now he's turning into a pumpkin. And this is what Brock Purdy really, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that one probably, in hindsight, was probably a little hyper negative.
Absolutely.
Let me just read these last ones. Hutch Serves Gaming says I would buy a Dante Hittner jersey. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now that I know Dante. Dante is a great guy. And man, on alumni weekend, were you in the house for alumni weekend?
Yeah, I was at that game.
I'm looking up at the scoreboard during the timeouts, and Dante Whitner and Deshaun Goldson are destroying people on the scoreboard. And I'm thinking to myself, I felt like I was watching football from 35 years ago. It was like literally 10 years ago, how different the NFL was just in a short amount of time.
Do that stuff.
Rakib says, I have a Debo, Samuel, a big Trent Williams, a Bosa, Fred Warner, George Kittle. Gary Radnich is laughing so hard at home right now. Yeah, there you go. And we got this one from Alan from Coles. He says, have a good Thanksgiving, Larry. Oh, thank you. It's very sweet of you to say that. Raj, what do you got planned for Turkey Day? We'll let you get out on this. You got big plans? What are you going to be doing on Turkey Day other than watching the Niners?
Other than watching the Niners, I'm actually going to celebrate probably Friday because I got work.
Working?
Yeah, all that stuff in the morning, and then I'll be home. So I'll be celebrating Friday with my daughter. But
what about you cook? Are you cook? Are you gonna order out, or you what?
No, I usually cook. I usually do the thing, but I'll probably
look at you. You're versatile, dude.
Got to do it, man. When you have a kid, you got to be able to cook, and you know. What about you? Big.
We're going to my wife's family's place, so we'll do the thing there, and then I'll do the post game there, and then watch the Niners up there, and then come back. So yeah, I mean I love Thanksgiving, man. I love the smell, the football, it's like the one day that literally you've got total license to just sit there and, eat. And yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. It's incredible. Family, kids come home from school, that kind of stuff. It'll be cool. Always loved it. I used to love it when my mom did Thanksgiving because she'd get up at like we used to eat at 2:00 in the afternoon. So she'd put the bird in at like 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. It's like, and by like 10 a.m. and that first football game's at halftime, and the whole house smells of turkey, and you got people coming over, and it was pretty special in the Krueger house growing up. I definitely miss my mom on Thanksgiving Day because she made it incredible. But it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. Watch some football and visit with the family and turkey. I'll probably, the thing about turkey is then I got to drive home. It's that tryptophan. It puts you out.
That's it. You take naps, and you're right, man. So I'm glad big celebration, but that's the worst part. Well, I don't know if it's the worst part, but I eat that food because my mom was just I up. She's already have like half the meal cooked. I'm like, Mom, it's 9:00 in the morning, and she's cooking up a storm. I'm watching football. My dad, and she's having everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the house coming over, inviting everybody. Neighborhoods coming over. They knew my mom was baking, so the whole neighborhood comes. It's just because they knew her cooking was the best out of everybody. She'd make Indian food and turkey, like traditional.
Awesome.
It was crazy. By the time 3:00 rolls around, I'm like tired, passing out. By the time
exactly.
The primetime game comes, and then boom, here comes dessert. You got second helping, you got the pumpkin pie, pecan pie. Oh man, I loved it.
Man, the primetime game was new too. We didn't even get in the prime. What year did that start? I remember when the Niners played the Ravens in that primetime game on Thanksgiving. Yeah. But it probably only started 3 or 4 years before that game.
Yeah, it was.
We used to just get the 2. Like we'd have to watch the Egg Bowl or something, or college hoops, Great Alaska Shootout or something. And last one here from Anthony. He says Steve Young in 1994 had a big supporting cast, and he won the league MVP. Yeah, he did. Great guy too. And Steve's going to be on the show here in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, talk to Steve. Steve's like, whatever I can do to help the channel, I'll help out the Krueg show. I said, Steve, that'd be awesome. Let's wait until we get closer to the playoffs. But Steve's the man. I love Steve. Steve's
for that one. Tell him I said he's my favorite player in the world, man. Let's go.
You know what I always tell Steve? Steve, you played with third down and goal line and fourth quarter or overtime urgency every snap of your career.
Yeah, didn't he?
Think about that. Dude, you remember that play where the helmet came off against Dallas and he's still fighting for yards? Steve Young, reckless abandon. Played with reckless abandon. He literally played with the most urgency that you ever see any NFL quarterback play with on every snap.
Yeah, he did.
His whole career.
Remarkable. One of my favorite. Man. That's awesome. Steve
and Young. A good dude too. And a good dude does a lot of charitable things for the Bay Area. Really good dude. All right, let me thank the sponsors. Marin Auto Glass, bottom of the screen there. Check them out, 415-883-3030, marinautoglass.com. New York style Italian sausage, which I will put in the stuffing. Yes, I'll throw some Italian mild in the stuffing. Thanks to them. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krueg Show. Love Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Go check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. And also thanks to Underdog Fantasy and Mojo Fantasy. Check that link in the description. Type in the promo code Krueg, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. And then for Mojo Fantasy, everybody who does that automatically is entered into a drawing to win a Bosa or a Purdy jersey on Thanksgiving night in the postgame. Raj, have a great Thanksgiving, man. I've loved streaming with you all year. We'll do it again next week. Go Niners, and have a great Turkey Day, man. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, you too, man. Have a good Thanksgiving. Don't pass out on too much tryptophan. You got to drive home.
That's right. I'll have an extra Coke in the car. I'll just, I'll be sitting there getting my caffeine surge coming back to the creek. For Raj, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.